This is why Allah protects you against witchcraft. Have you ever felt that invisible fear, that inner doubt that makes you believe that a dark force could reach you? Witchcraft, evil eyes, jealousy. But stop for a moment and ask yourself, how could Allah, the Almighty, abandon his sincere servant to this darkness? Open book, Allah did. And put your trust in Allah. Allah is sufficient as a protector. Surah Al-Ahzab 33:3. Perfect crescent moon. Do you want me to develop this? Part 1. The story that wakes up in about 600 words with a narrative and emotional style, strong images, details, fluid transitions, and keeping in mind that it is a captivating video. Here is the expanded version. Crescent Moon Part 1. The story that wakes you up. There was, at the time of the Prophet, a companion known for his beauty. His gaze, his bearing, his presence attracted the admiration of those around him. But sometimes, admiration turns into jealousy, and jealousy can become an invisible poison. This companion was struck by the evil eye, to the point of falling ill. His strength had left him, his energy had dissipated. People wondered, how could a mere glance, a mere thought of jealousy, weaken such a strong man? The Prophet then recalled a profound truth. Yes, jealousy and envy exist. Yes, they can hurt, but no injury, no sorcery, no evil eye exceeds the power of Allah. For Allah is the giver of life and the taker of life, the protector and the elevator. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself in this scene. You're going through life, working hard, dreaming big. But those around you don't always see your sincerity. Some whisper behind your back, others wish you failure, and still others silently envy you. Perhaps you've even felt crushed by this invisible weight. Doors closing, opportunities slipping away, an inexplicable fatigue. And you wonder, did someone cast the evil eye on me? Am I a victim of witchcraft? It is in these moments of doubt that we must remember a divine promise. Allah says in the Quran, and they will not harm anyone except by Allah's permission. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:102. This verse is not just a sentence, it is a fortress. It reminds us that the power of creatures is limited, that their plots, their gazes, their knotted ropes have no force unless Allah allows it. And if Allah does not allow it, then nothing and no one can harm you. Think carefully. How many times in your life have you felt like everything was going to collapse, and yet you came out on top? How many times have you thought you were lost, but a light appeared, an unexpected help appeared? Was it coincidence? Or was it the hand of Allah protecting you? There is wisdom behind every trial. Sometimes Allah allows us to experience a difficulty to draw us closer to Him. But what He never does is abandon His servant. The sincere believer, even surrounded by jealousy, even targeted by witchcraft, remains under His protection. Imagine for a moment your heart as a house. If you leave the windows wide open, drafts come in and cool everything. But if you close the shutters, if you reinforce the doors, the house remains warm, stable, and protected. So it is with your heart. If you leave it exposed to jealousy, without protecting it with dhikr, prayer, and the verses of the Quran, it can be touched. But if you make Allah your stronghold, no witchcraft, no evil eye, no plot will have a place. And therein lies the secret, not to live in fear of others, but to live in trust in Allah. Witchcraft is real, envy exists, but they are only shadows. And shadows cannot exist where there is light. And the most powerful light is that of Allah. So, ask yourself sincerely. Backhand index pointing right, have you ever noticed that, despite the traps around you, you always found a way out? Who opened that door when all the others seemed closed? Who picked you up when you were on the ground? Who protected you in the silence of the night, when you didn't even see the danger approaching? The answer is there, clear and limpid. It is Allah. Fire Part 2. The reality of witchcraft. Witchcraft is not a myth invented to frighten children, nor a superstition inherited from ancient traditions. It is a reality mentioned in the Quran itself. Allah informs us in Surah Al-Baqarah of the practices of sorcerers in the Babylonian era, who taught spells to sow discord between spouses, to break ties, to corrupt lives. But in the same verse, Allah reminds us that these forces cannot harm anyone without His permission. The first truth that must be understood is that witchcraft does exist. But the second truth, even more important, is that it is limited and helpless in the face of Allah's protection. Why do so many believers fall into excessive fear of witchcraft? Because they look at it with terrified eyes, forgetting that their gaze should be directed towards Allah. They give witchcraft a power it does not have. They tremble before the shadow of an enemy, while their Lord is the light that dispels all shadows. Allah says in the Qur'an, "It is only the devils who frighten their allies. So do not fear them, but fear me if you are believers." Surah Al-Imran 3:175. This verse is a key. It tells us that the fear we feel when faced with witchcraft or jinn is not natural. It is sown by the devils to turn us away from Allah, to weaken us. Fear then becomes their most effective weapon. For those who are excessively afraid, those who panic at every sign, open the door to anguish and despair. But he who puts his trust in Allah closes that door. He does not deny the existence of danger, but he knows that true refuge is with his Lord. Imagine two people. One firmly believes that people want to harm them through witchcraft. They live in terror. Every misfortune seems like a spell cast. They distrust everyone. They see enemies everywhere, and their life becomes a prison. The second person knows that witchcraft exists, but they maintain an unshakable certainty. Nothing can harm them unless Allah allows it. They continue to pray, to invoke, to live. Even if people plot, they move forward with serenity. Who do you think is more protected? The answer is obvious. The first has locked itself in the nets of fear. The second has taken refuge in the light of Allah. And therein lies the real danger. Not sorcery itself, but the fear it engenders. For fear weakens faith. It diverts the mind from the remembrance of Allah. It gives more importance to creatures than to the Creator. So, remember this. Sorcerers can tempt. The jealous can envy. Devils can whisper fears, but they possess nothing. Their power is like an illusion. Only Allah possesses the truth and the power. Think deeply about this question. Backhand index pointing right. What if your fears are just an illusion, when Allah has already guaranteed you His protection? How much longer will you give the shadows power they do not have? How many nights will you waste trembling, while your Lord calls you to place your trust in Him? Witchcraft exists, yes, but it can only harm you if you forget the one who is above all. True protection does not come from a talisman, a marabou, or an amulet. It comes from faith, the Quran, dhikr, and sincere surrender to Allah. This is a truth that every believer must engrave in his heart. Fear comes from ignorance, but knowledge of Allah brings peace. Part 3, the invisible weapon. There are people who, when they sense danger, rush to strange practices. Some go to sorcerers, others cling to talismans, and still others seek hidden energies and philosophies that distance them from Allah. Yet the true weapon, the one that breaks all invisible chains, the one that repels the thickest darkness, is already in our hands. This weapon is not magic. It is not Reiki. It is not an amulet around the neck. No, this weapon is dhikr. It is the Quran. It is this intimate connection with Allah that transforms your heart into an impregnable fortress. The Prophet left us a treasure in an authentic hadith. Whoever recites the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah at night, they are sufficient for him. Reported by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Let's pause for a moment. What do these words mean? They are enough for him. This means that they are enough protection. They are enough light. They are enough invisible barrier between you and what could reach you. You don't need to look elsewhere. Imagine yourself every night. You are in your bed. The world is falling asleep, but you raise your hands and recite these verses. You see nothing special. Your eyes do not perceive the invisible. And yet, in this hidden world, something great is happening. Around you, the angels stand. The demons retreat, as if a wall of light were rising between you and your invisible enemies. This is the secret of the invisible weapon. You don't need to see it for it to work. Dhikr is not just words repeated under your breath. It is a spiritual energy that flows through your veins, purifies your soul, and strengthens your heart. It is as if Allah were saying to you, you are not alone. As long as you remember me, I am with you. The Quran is called Shifa, a cure. Allah says in the Quran, we send down from the Quran that which is a healing and a mercy for the believers. Surah Al-Isra, 17 hours, 82 minutes. Realize what this means. The Quran is not just a book to read. It is a healing. Every verse you recite is like a light placed in your heart, a weapon against evil, a remedy against anguish. Close your eyes and imagine your heart, weakened by life's wounds, jealousies, trials. Then suddenly, a word from Allah comes to cover it like a soothing balm. You breathe better. You walk more upright. You feel this certainty growing within you. Allah is my protector. I fear nothing. Why then run elsewhere? Why seek in human practices what Allah has already given you? Your Lord has given you invisible but powerful fortresses. Al-Fatiha, Ayat al-Kursi, the last two verses of Surah al-Baqarah, Surahs al-Falaq and an-Nas. Each is a wall. Each is a weapon. The real question is, do you use them? Or do you let that weapon rust in a corner while you fight your fears with your bare hands? The meditation here is clear. Your protection is in your hands. Not in an object, not in an amulet, not in human hands. It is in the word of Allah. It is in your constant remembrance of Him. So ask yourself sincerely. Backhand index pointing right. Why seek protection elsewhere when your Lord has already given you the most powerful of fortresses? Milky Way Part 4. Testimony and Reminder. One day a man came to see a scholar. His eyes were tired, his face marked by anguish. He was almost trembling as he spoke. Sheikh, he said, I think I've been cursed. For some time now, nothing has been going right in my life. I'm sleeping badly, my business is failing, my relationships are breaking down. I feel a dark force around me. I'm scared, I'm really scared. The scholar looked at him for a long time, in silence, as if to probe his heart more than his words. Then he said in a calm but firm voice, Listen, my brother, the sorcerer has his ropes, he ties his knots, he murmurs his incantations. But you have Allah. Tell me, who can do more than Allah? Who has ultimate power? Is it the sorcerer, or is it the one who created heaven and earth? The man remained silent. His breathing calmed. A glimmer of understanding began to shine in his eyes. This is the whole truth. Evil exists, but it is weak. Fear imprisons us, but faith sets us free. We often believe that witchcraft is a prison with no way out, but in reality, it is our minds that are chained. The key to this prison is already in our hands. It is the constant remembrance of Allah. Allah says in the Quran, Allah is the protector of those who believe. He brings them out of darkness into light. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:257. This verse is not just a statement. It is a promise. If you truly believe, Allah will take care of you. He will not abandon you to darkness. He will not leave you to the forces of evil. He will lift you out of the darkness and lead you into the light. Consider your own life for a moment. Have you not experienced times when everything seemed dark, and yet a door opened, an invisible hand pulled you out of the storm? Was it chance? No, it was Allah, your protector. This man's story is not unique. It is the story of thousands of souls who allow themselves to be terrified by the rumor of witchcraft. But every time faith replaces fear, light returns. Now imagine that you carry within you this conviction. No harm can befall you except by the will of your Lord. You sleep at night without fear. You work by day with confidence. You know that even if people plot, Allah is above all plots. What power would sorcery have against you? Remember also that the Prophet taught us simple weapons accessible to all. Recite Ayat al-Kursi before sleeping. Read Surahs al-Falaq and an-Nas morning and evening. Say Bismillah when entering and leaving. These gestures, small in appearance, are in reality walls that rise around you. So why tremble before knotted ropes when you have the Lord of the worlds at your side? Why live in the shadow of fear when Allah offers you the light of His protection? The real question, my brother, my sister, is this. Backhand index pointing right, do you want to live in fear of darkness or walk in the light of Allah? The choice is yours. But know that light awaits you every time you choose faith over fear. Witchcraft is only a breath, a fragile illusion. But you are protected by the Lord of the worlds, the one whose throne encompasses the heavens and the earth. Do not doubt, do not fear. Just say, open book, Allah is sufficient for me. There is no God but He. In Him I put my trust, and He is the Lord of the mighty throne. Surat at-Tawbah 9:129.